Uh, sorry. Udghatya yoga kalaya hridayabja kosham dhaneshchiradapi yatharuchi grihyamanaha yaf praspuratya viratam paripurna rupaha shreyasame dishatu shashwatikam mukundah amari kabari bhara bhramari mukhari kritam दूरे करोतु दुरितं गौरी चरण पंकजं परस्पर तपस्संपत् फलायित परस्परो प्रपंच माता पितरौ प्रांचौ जायापति स्तुमः. We looked at Atisayokti. We still have just one more left, I think. There are couple of varieties that we saw. So one is Rupaka Atisayokti, then Apannava, Sapannava Rupaka Atisayokti, Bhedaka Atisayokti, Sambandha Atisayokti, Asambandha Atisayokti. These two go hand in hand. And then Akrama Atisayokti, Chapala Atisayokti. These are Hetu Karanam. So in Akrama Atisayokti syat sahatve Hetu Karyayoho. When both the Hetu Karanam and the Karyam happen at the same time, then it is Akrama Atisayokti. There is no Paurva Paryam. It should happen in a Krama, but that Krama is absent in this Atisayokti. Chapala Atisayokti is where Hetu Prasaktije Karyam. When the knowledge of the Hetu itself is present, even before the Hetu actually happens, Tatha Karyasya Jananam, Karyasya Utpattihi, then it is Chapala Atisayokti. Adavadhu it is Chapalamna, someone who wants to do Sahasa Eva Tatra. ஒரு சாப்ப முந்திரி கொட்டைங்கிறோம் இல்லையா, அந்த மாதிரி நடக்கிறதுக்கு தான் இதை சொல்றேன் யூஸ்வலி சொல்லுவோம்ல. அதனால when the hetu, when the knowledge itself is going to be there, when the hetu is going to happen in the future, but then you just have the knowledge right now, even before it happens, karyam tu tatra jatam iti. Okay. I think we did the aparam udaharanam also in this. Ama. We have to do Atyanta Atisayokti. This is the last Atisayokti. Atyanta Atisayokti syat Paurva Parya Vyatikrame. Now, Vyatikramam here is where the same Hetu Karya, when the Karyam happens before the Hetu. Usually something that happens, that should happen later. Now, that has happened even earlier before the Hetu happens. Agre Mano Gataha Paschad Anunita Priyena Sa. Agre Manaha Gataha. Manaha Atra Kopam. So the anger that the lady has, Naika, there is a tiff between the lovers here. Naika, Nayakasya, Nayakayoho Madhyetu Atra. There is a love quarrel between them. So it is usually the Nayaka who has to, comfort the Naika so that she will give up her anger. But then even before he starts off his methods of trying to please her, pacify her, her anger went away first by just seeing him or thinking about how he will make efforts to placate her or pacify her. Agre manaha gataha. The anger that was there with her went first. Paschat Priyena Sa Anunita. She was then pleased by her Priya, by her beloved, later. So usually Anunayaha eva Purvaha Pravartitavyaha Tadanantaram eva Kopasya Gamanam. Parantu atra Kopastu Purvangataha ityuktam. Okay, so Karya Karanayoho Paurva Paryasya Purva Uttarakramasya Vyatikrame Ullanghane. Yeah. Atyanta Atisayokti. Okay. Karya Karanayoho Paurva Paryasya. Inge it just says Paurva Parya Vyatikrame. But since we are dealing with Karya Karana in the earlier two varieties of Atisayokti also, so that Karya Karana extends to this type of Atisayokti also. So Karya Karanayoho Paurva Paryasya Purvam Aparam iti tatra kaschana kramaha vartate karyasya karanasya cha. So the karyam should be later, karanam should happen earlier. Tasya Paurva Paryasya Purva Uttara Kramasya Vyatikrame. Vyatikrame is Atikramaha tu, there is a transgression of that. kramam, transgression of that order in which they have to occur. So vyatikrame, ullanghane sati atyanta atishayokti. So it is an extreme atishayokti kind of thing. So he takes it in a methodical fashion. The first one is where both hetu and karyam happen together. Right? That was akrama. There is no order there, so both of them happen at the same time. Chapalaatishayokti is when the karyam happens even before the when the knowledge of the hetu is present. Here there is no knowledge of hetu or anything. The karyam first happened, then only the karanam happened. Am I clear? So purvam karanam, paschat karyam iti siddham kramam ullanghya. Crossing the kramam, crossing the order, the transgressing the order of purvam karanam, first the hetu should happen, paschat karyam iti siddham kramam. This is the order that has been well established, and that order is being transgressed here. That is, it is not followed here. Karya utpattehe anantaram karana sambhava varnanam. The description of the karana as the karana being happening is described after as being after the karya utpatti. So this is satyanta atishayoktihi ityarthaha. Manaha pranaya kopaha. It's the ஊடல்ங்கிறோம் தமிழ்ல அதுதான் பிரணய கோபஹ பிரணய கோபஹ. அக்ரே பிரதமம் கதஹ பశ్చాத் சா நாயிகா priyena anunita. She was then pacified by the priya. Ityatra prasiddha karanat anunayat purvameva karyasya manatyagasya utpatti varnanat atyantatishayoktehe udaharanam. So prasiddha karanam is anunaya. When a nayika is angry, the nayika has to follow and try to pacify her and calm her down. That should happen first. Even before that, she has already let go of her anger. So, mana tyagasya utpatti varnanat. The varnana, please be clear as to how it has been described in the words here. Because artha alankara depends very much on how the description has been given. Then only you will not confuse between the other things. Illana, oh, hetu karya happens at the same time. Probably it is the same thing. Or the hetu prasakti jeko iduko, you will confuse between chapalaatishayokti and atyantatishayokti. Be very clear. When the knowledge of hetu is present and the karya happens, that is chapalaatishayokti. When it is described that the hetu happens later and the karyam happens, it is not that hetu prasakti jnanam ityadikam na. It has been described in such a manner that the karyam happens before and the karanam happens later. Karya karanayoho paurvaparya viparyaya rupayaha atyanta atishayoktehe udaharanam idam. Clear? कवीन्द्राणाम् आसन् प्रथमतरमेवाङ्गण भुवः चलद्भृङ्गासङ्गाकुलकरिमद आमोद मधुराः अमी पश्चात् तेषाम् उपरि पतिता रुद्रनृपतेः कटाक्षाः क्षीरोद प्रसरत् उरुवीची सहचराः. So the poets here, Kavinam Angana Bhuvaha, Kavindranam Angana Bhuvaha, Prathamataram Eva Chalad Bringa Asanga Akula Kari Mada Amoda Madhuraha Asan. Now he is describing the courtyards of the poets. Poets are usually being patronized by kings. So the work of the poet in those days was to go and present something to the king in the form of a poetry or a work or something or the other, and they will be rewarded by the king. So they have to first go and present their work to the king. Then the king should look at them and feel grateful to them that they have praised them or they have done a very great work. And then kataksha patanam bhavati tadanantaram eva prasada labhaha. They will get some sort of a paritoshikam. Then they will take it to their homes. This is the normal procedure of karya karana. The Karanam is the Kavis have done something great and the king's eyes have fallen on them. After that, they are given presents and they take it to their homes. Okay. Whereas here it is described as Prathamataram Eva, even before itself, that is in the first beginning itself. Kavindranam Angana Bhuvaha, the courtyards, Anganam ityukte, the front portion. A courtyard, that is in the palace grounds kind of thing. So the grounds that are there in front of the houses of these poets. So Angana Bhuvaha, the courtyards of these poets' houses, Prathamatarameva, even beforehand itself, they are filled with elephants. And around the elephants are all very young and they are in rut. So which means Madajalam tu tatra vartate. Karinam Madajalaha, and that Madajalam has a kind of a sweet smell which attracts a lot of bees. So their Angana Bhuvaha is very fragrant because of the elephant's Madajalam, and it is filled with confused bees which are all roaming around these elephants. So number one, the king's kataksha should have fallen on these poets, and then the poets should have been gifted elephants. Then those elephants should be placed in the Angana Bhumi of the poets. Those elephants are all not old elephants, but young elephants, well in their youth, and that's why they have this ichor which flows from their temples. Okay, the sides of the elephants are the face on their kapolam, on their cheeks. It is supposed to have this madajala, which is supposed to be very fragrant and attracts a lot of bees. So chalat bhringa asanga akula, chalat bhringa chalantaha bhringaha bhramaraha. Those bees which are attracted towards the smell are moving here and there. And bringanam asangaha samuhaha tatra vartate taihi samuhaihi akulitaha karinaha. So akulam yatha syat tatha karimada amoda madhuraha. Adu appadi eduthukalam. Illanna sangaihi akulaha karinaha. It is an adjective to the elephants here. So the elephants are being confused because all of these bees are coming towards it, and it's as if they are coming to attack the elephants for the smell. They think it is a flower and they can get honey from it, right? So chalat bhringa asanga akula kari mada amoda madhuraha angana bhuvaha. Angana bhuvaha to angana bhumayaha atra amoda madhuraha vartante. They are very sweet, not for taste, but they are very approachable because of the fragrance that is there in the courtyard. Now, where is this fragrance coming from? Kari madajalam. It is coming from the elephant's madajala, the ichor. And those elephants are all akula. They are completely confused because there are bees around it. Chalata bringa asanka. The groups of bees are all surrounding these elephants because they are attracted towards the smell. And the entire courtyard is smelling with these elephants here. Purvameva. The idea here is prathamataram. That is what we need. This happens only after the king's kataksha falls on them. Ami paschat tesham upari rudra nripatehe katakshaha patitaha. Parantu paschadeva, even before Rudra Nripati sees them and hears their poets, he has already conferred them gifts. He has given gifts to them. So their courtyard is filled with elephants here. So paschadeva, only afterwards, Rudra Nripatehe katakshaha, ami katakshaha, tesham upari patitaha, tesham upari kavindranam upari. Only later did the sight of Rudra Nripati. Rudra Nripati here is Prataparudra of Idilla Andhra Deshat Raja. So Rudra Nripatehe katakshaha paschadeva tesham upari patitaha kidrishaha katakshaha iti chet. This is an adjective to the kataksha sight. Kshiroda prasara Kshiroda prasarat uru vichi sahacharaha. It is sahachara. It is very similar to, or it is like the kataksha is very similar to the vichi, the waves, the big waves that come from the Kshiroda milk ocean. So Kshiroda Kshirodaha atra Kshira Samudraha. Kshira Samudrat Prasarantyaha Uru Vichayaha. The big waves that keep flowing from the milk ocean. The ocean is a huge ocean and the waves keep on coming continuously. His kataksham is like that. That is, they are capable of giving anything and everything to the people who approach him. And it is also that his kataksha is continuous. It is not that he is sakradeva patitaha iti chet tadanantaram paschad na patati ityeva nasti. It asakrita patati. It keeps on continuously coming in the form of waves, and so his grace is always there as a patron. His grace is always there with the kavis. The poem is a little terse, but our meaning, what we need, is very simple, and it's explained in the Vyakhyanam here. So he says, Atra Prathamam Kavinam Angana Bhuvaha Rudra Nripati Datta Karibihi Purnaha. So initially, beforehand or first, the result happens. What is that result? Kavinam Angana Bhuvaha. The front yards of the poets are filled, Purnaha, are filled with the elephants that have been presented by Rudra Nripati. Tadanantaram Nripatehe Katakshaha Kavinam Upari Patitaha. After that only, the Nripati, the king's eyesight, glances fell on the kavis, on the poets. Iti Karya Bhuta Karidana Anantaram. Karanabhuta Katakshapata Varnanat. It is described that the Kataksham fell later and the Karyam, which is Karidanam, Gajadanam, happened before. Iti Atyanta Atishayokti. Now, why is it described in this manner? What is the purpose of this alankara? He gives it here in this last line. He says, Atra idam avadheyam antyas tisraha. Akramatishayokti, Chapalaatishayokti, and Atyanta Atishayokti, all three of them, Atyanta Atishayoktayaha, Karya Karana Krama Nibandhanaha, they are based on the Karya Karana Kramam, the order of cause and effect. Karya Shaigryam Dotayanti, it only shows the speed with which the Karyam happens. All they need to do is just to say one shloka and immediately they have become rich here. Okay, so that Karya Shaigryam is the point to be noted here for
that
all
is
three.
The Vyanjana, right? That is the
Yes.
Vyanjana, right?
Yes.
Okay, but just one question. Kshiroda meaning the ocean, right? But ocean of Kshira.
Kshirameva Udaha. Uda is
Uda is water.
No,
Kshirameva Udaha iti Kshirodaha. And that is the ocean of milk, iti. Ocean,
yes.
Right? Okay, then Prasarat is the present participle nakshatra, spreading. Uru Vichi, Uru Nama, or Uru means wide, right? Brihat is Uru, right? Uru. And then Vichi, wave, right?
Wave, yes.
But Sahachara meaning?
Sahacharana Sadrishangrartham.
Really? Oh my God.
அதாவது கம்பேனியன்ங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? So it is like a companion to the waves of Kshiroda, Kshirasagara.
ஏது?
அந்த கட்டாட்சம்.
Oh, the kataksham is the companion to the waves.
அப்படின்னா that means that it is sadrisha, nibha, அந்த மாதிரி எடுத்துக்கணும் சஹச்சரங்கிறது.
Oh, I see. No, it's a little bit பார்த்ததில்ல முன்னாடி. Sahachara is, Sahachara usually means friend or somebody companion அப்படின்னா. But
yeah, it is a companion. அந்த வியாக்கியானத்துல வேற ஏதாவது போட்டுருக்காரான்னு பார்த்துக்கிறேன். He takes it as an இதுவா தான் இருக்கணும், உபமா மாதிரி தான் எடுக்கணும். அத Vichi Sahacharaha.
Then Vichayah Sahacharaha va Katakshaha. No, I think Vichayah eva Sahachara.
No. Vichayah eva Sahacharaha.
No, I mean
கிருபா சமுத்திரம், அதிலிருந்து வரக்கூடிய கட்டாட்சம், அப்படிதானே?
Okay.
So it is a kripa kataksha. Okay. Kshiroda prasarat uru vichi
Uruva, Uruva.
Uru.
Uru.
Uru na toda illaya. Uru is
Uru. Uru is wide.
Uru kirtihi. Urush ஆமா அப்படின்னு உருஷ்லோகஹ அப்படின்னு வரும் பாகவதத்துல. உருஷ்லோகஹங்கறச்சு ஃபார் பகவான் யூ சே ஒன் யஹ பஹு கீர்த்தியதே இதி श्लोकः श्लोक्यते.
many shlokas,
கீர்த்தி இருக்கு, பெரிய கீர்த்தி அப்படின்னு. लहर की गीले हो जाते.
So I thought, these katakshaha are accompanied by these waves of spreading waves of kshiroda, of amritam.
Right. Samana. He takes it as samanam.
Okay. So, but he's like, I thought of them as, accompanied by, but he's taking it as equal to. Right.
So they are like saha charati. It is like they are walking in a step, in step with them அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி இல்லையா? அப்படின்னா you are equal to them ங்கிற மாதிரி தானே. So சமானங்க எடுத்துக்கிறார்.
Okay, got it. Okay, धन्यवाद. Yeah.
Okay. So இதோட there were 8 varieties of Atisayokti that we saw. Any other questions? இல்லையா? We can move on to Tulyayogita. Okay. So Tulyayogita, he gives a separate definition for each variety. So there are 4 varieties of Tulyayogita here. Tulyanam sadrishyavatam yogita ekadharma anvayitvam Tulyayogita. So Tulyayogita. Yogita is connection. So Tulyam here would mean Tulyanam. That itself shows you that all of them should have a similar nomenclature. That is samjna vatam. அது என்னன்னு பார்ப்போம். Only 2 varieties are like that. The other 2 are something different. It has nothing, no connection to the name of Tulyayogita at all. But anyway, sa chaturdha prastuta ekadharma anvaya rupa, aprastuta ekadharma anvaya rupa, hita vritti taulya rupa, utkrishta sameekarana ukti rupa cha iti asam kramena lakshana udaharanani diyante. So there are 4 types. One is where there are a bunch of prastuta vishayas. Prastutam is contextual. Varnyam, what the poet wants to describe. All of those are being connected with one dharma. That is Tulyayogita. If there are many aprastutam, non-contextual, all of these are probably examples that he wants to show for that which he describes. All of them are upamanams, say for example. Not exactly upamanam, but it is not the context that the Kavi is trying to describe. We'll see example and we'll understand that. Those are being connected with one dharma. That is aprastuta eka dharma anvayi. Hita ahita vritti Tulya Rupam. Whether it is Hita Vritti or Ahita Vritti, it is a Tulya, the action of Hita Vritti and Ahita Vritti will be a Tulyam one. Let's look at the definition and do it. Enake idu kadasi rendu nyabam illa. I have to look at the examples. Then only I'll know. Let's go for the first and second. What is the first and second? He gives a common definition for the first and the second. Varnyanam itaresham va dharma aikyam Tulyayogita. Either there is a set of varnya. Varnyam is prastutam. Varnyanam, prastutanam, athava itaresham va. Itaresham would mean aprastutanam, something other than varnya, or avarnyanam, that which is not the focus of description for the Kavi. Itaresham va aprastutanam eva dharma aikyam. What is the dharma that is common? The dharma can be of 2 types. One is gunarupa dharma aikyam or kriyarupa dharma anvayaha. Either the 2 things are connected with one kriya or 2 things are connected with one guna. This is called Tulyayogita, and those 2 things can either be prastutam or it can be aprastutam. It need not necessarily be only 2 things. You can have bahunam ekadharma anvayaha api kartum shakyate tatra. Yatra dvayoho prastutayoho eva bahunam prastutanam eva va ekadharma anvayaha varnyate Tatra Prathama Tulyayogita. That is the first kind of Tulyayogita, where either two which are contextual or many which are all contextual vastus are connected with one dharma. That dharma can be a gunam or a kriya. Yatra dvayoho bahunam va aprastutanam eka dharmanvayah tatra dvitiya tulyayogita iti nishkarshaha. The second variety of tulyayogita is where there are either two non-contextual or many non-contextual items which are connected by one dharma, which can be a guna or a kriya. Okay, so mule varnyanam itaresham iti ubhayatra bahuvachanam anekatva abhiprayena prayuktam. So aneka, it is not ekam, so it can be aneka, it can be two or more. That is why he has given bahuvachanam. Because it has been given bahuvachanam, it doesn't mean that if only two prastutam is there, it is not tulyayogita iti nasti tatra. Bahunam ityeva tatra bahuvachanasya prayogaha drishyate tasmat tatra trayo va adhikam va yatra vartate iti na. You can take it as not one. That is why he says itaresham ityatra ubhaya iti ubhayatrapi bahuvachanam na eka anekatva abhiprayena. Don't take anekatva as plural, not dual. Iti nasti. It is not one, but there should be a few more there. Okay. The example he gives is Sankuchanti Sarojani Swairini Vadanani cha Chandrodaye. Take the example of Chandrodaya. Okay, he still has the explanation here. Okay, we'll come back to that. Tathacha aneka prastutamatra sambandha eka dharmatvam prathamayaha. The lakshanam prathamayaha tulyayogitayaha lakshanam. The definition of the first kind of tulyayogita is aneka prastutamatra sambandha eka dharmatvam. There are many prastutas only. That is, you are removing aprastuta. There can be 4 prastutas and 1 aprastuta, and you are connecting all of those with one kriya, then it will become something called Deepaka Alankara. It is not Tulyayogita. That's why he is including matram here. So, prastutanameva athava aneka aprastuta matra anekesham aprastutanameva sambandhaha yatra varnyate eka dharma anvayitvam varnyate tatra tu dvitiyayaha tulyayogitayaha lakshana. It's very important to understand the difference between this and Deepakam here. Okay. So, Sankuchanti Sarojani Swairini Vadanani cha. Chandrodayaha yatha yada Chandrodayaha drishyate tada Sarojani Sankuchanti. Lotuses completely closed down. They do not bloom. Lotuses bloom only when there is sun, whereas when there is the Udayam of moon, the lotuses completely close themselves. At the same time, Swairini Vadananicha, the faces of the women, Swairini, Swairam ye gachanti, those who Swechaya ye Nayakam prati gachanti, Abhisarika. Swairini is a lady who approaches her lover on her own during the night. She would prefer an Amavasya where there is no light at all. If there is a Purna Chandrasya Udayaha yadi vartate tarhi tesham mukhani spashtani bhavanti, sputani bhavanti, right? Everybody will know who is walking on the road. So they don't want anybody else to know. They want to go in secret to meet their lover. That is a Swairini. Swairini is a person who approaches a lover on her own. So, Swairini Vadananicha, even the faces of the ladies who move at night, those also, Sankuchanti, they also churingi pedradhu. So, this can either be Varnyam or Avarnyam. So, we look at the explanation what he says. Sarojani Padmani Swairineenam Abhisarikanam Abhisarati iti Abhimukhyena Sarati, one who moves towards the lover. Okay, Abhisarikanam Vadanani Mukhani cha Sankuchanti, Sankocham Prapnuvanti. They become faded or they become closed. They're not fully bloomed faces with smiles and all that. So, iti prathamayaha prastuta tulyayogitayaha udaharanam. So, what is the prastutam here? We need a context, so we are using the vyakhyata to give us the context. It could also be a non-contextual thing. We don't know, but we will take it for now, for Lakshana Lakshya sake, we will take this as contextual, because we are describing, the Kavi is describing Chandrodayam here. Okay, so Chandrodaye Sati, or in Chandrodaya, when the moon is rising, Sarojani Sankuchanti, Nimilanti, they close themselves. So Swairini Vadanani cha Prakasha Bhayat Sankuchanti. Prakasha Bhayat, because the moon is so bright that their faces will be noticed by everybody and people will know who is walking around at night. They do not want to reveal themselves, and that's why they do not like the moon rising here. So they would prefer it if the moon is not there on the sky. So Prakasha Bhayat, out of fear for light, their faces also close or fade. Tathacha Varnyanameva. There are two things which are Varnya here, which is Prastutam. When you are describing Chandrodaya, you can describe any number of things. You can also describe the blooming of Kuvalaya, but that is not relevant here for now. We want to show the Anvaya of one dharma, which is Sankocha. Tathacha Varnyanam Sarojanam Swairini Vadananam cha Sankocha Rupa Eka Kriya Anvaya Varnanat. Both these, Swairini Vadananicha, Sarojanicha, Tatra Sankuchanti. Iti, there is only one Kriya that connects both these two. So it is a Prastuta Tulyayogita, which is the first variety. Okay. Now the Aparam Udaharanam here is Twadanga Mardave Drishte Kasya Chitte na Bhasate Malati Shashabhril Leka Kadalinam Kathorata. Oh, this is not the Aparam Udaharanam. Sorry. This is the Aprastuta Tulyayogitayaha Udaharanam. Twadanga Mardave Drishte. Now, what is the Prakritam here? Anga Mardavam tu Tatra Atra Prakritam Vartate. Varnyam. The poet wants to describe, or the poet through the words of the Nayaka. Hey Priye, Tvat Tava Anga Mardave Drishte Mridutvam tu Drushtam Maduna. I have seen the softness of the parts of your body. Tava Anganam Mardavam Drishtam. Drishte Sati Kasya Chitte Malati Shashabhrilleka Kadalinam Kathorata Nabasate. When we have seen, see, people compare the parts of a women's body to different kinds, like it is very soft, like a Malati Pushpam, or Shashabhril Leka Iva Tatra, it is cool to touch, or it is thin like that. Kadali Vatu Tatra Shaityam Vartate, or it is soft and smooth. All of these things appear to be very rough when compared to your body, which is too soft here. So, Twadanga Mardave Drishte, when someone has experienced the softness of your body, Tasya Chitte, Etesham Kathoratana Bhasate, who will, in whose mind does the roughness of Malati, Shashabril Lekha, the crescent moon, and Kadali, Vajamara, banana tree. Kadali is banana tree, right? Its stalk is very soft here. So, Tesham Kathoratana Bhasate, that is, when compared to your Avayava, all of these seem rough. Now, the Prakritam here is Anga Mardavam. Tasyaha Angasya Mardavameva Atra Prakritam. Etesham Kathorata becomes the common factor between Malati, Shashabril Leka, and Kadali. But all of these are not Prakritam, but it is Aprastutam. That is, it is not Prakritam. Sorry, Avarnyana.
So the Malati is the creeper, right?
Malati creeper.
Creeper. So it's comparing the slenderness of the creeper to the lady, right? And
yes.
Then Shashabril Leka would be the not the full moon, but rather the crescent thin moon, the crescent moon. So the thin line of the moon, maybe on Pratipad or on Dvitiya, the very thin line that he's comparing it to that. The slenderness. So when he says Mardavam here, he rather means at least for the first two, he means the slenderness. But in the Kadali, he does mean the softness, I guess.
Softness, yes.
Okay. And so you're saying it's Aprastutam because, well, Mardavam is the topic, right?
Mardavam is the topic.
Okay.
No, Angam is the topic here. Naikayaha, okay, you can also say Naikayaha Angamardavameva Atra Prastutam Vartate.
Okay, okay.
To describe that is your Varnya. What is the
Yes.
Avarnyam? He is comparing it to Upamanam. Upamanam becomes our Avarnyam, Aprakritam, Aprastutam.
Okay, got it.
He is trying to compare it to Malati, Shashabhrilleka, and Kadali. But he
Right,
is also connecting all three with the guna called Kathorata.
So the well, the guna is, well, it's avarnyam because he's bringing it to show a point. It's an outside reference, outside the context. He's bringing it
Yes.
to show
That
a
is
point.
not his focus of description.
It's, yeah. But in the previous one, when we said, okay, it's a moonlit night, wouldn't the Saroja, I mean, Vadanani, that would also be similarly.
That's on a context matters. That's why I gave you the Purva Pitika. That context matters.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. I got you, but I'm just trying to imagine how did he make the conclusion when he very firmly says it is Prastutam, right?
In Kavyam, you have a section of Chandrodaya description. Yeah. Nagararnava, Shaila, Ritu, Chandrodaya, Suryodaya. These are all things that have to be described in a Kavyam. So when you take a huge Kavyam, if you devote a section for Chandrodaya, everything which is related to Chandrodaya becomes a Prastutam at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. And the context of it, he proves his case.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's not such an easy decision. I mean, you have to think a little bit. At least I have to think a little bit.
That's why Vyakhyanatho Vishesha Pratipatti.
Satyam. Yeah, dhanyavad.
Hey Priye, Tava Angamardave Drishte Sati. When I have noticed the softness or the slenderness of your slender nature of your body, I think that is correct. Malati ko iduko. Sati kasya sachetasaha chitte. Sachetasaha chitte. Yadi saha tasya kinchana manaha vartate. If he has that chetanatvam in him, then he will immediately understand that everything else in this world which is shown as an example has one roughness which is not there in her body, which is very soft and slender. Malati, if you take the creeper, it has some issue will definitely be there. No, actually, அடுத்ததுக்கு தான் அவர் சொல்றாருன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நாகேந்திர ஹஸ்தாஹா त्वचि कर्कशत्वात्ங்கிறது ஒன்னு எடுப்பார். See, he gives that example from Kumara Sambhava for this. Okay, very similar to that. So sachetasaha chitte, in the mind of a person who is conscious. Malati kusuma, he takes it as Malati kusuma and not kodi edukala. He takes just the pushpam, so you can take it as softness. Chandraleka too, nobody has touched the Chandraleka to know about the softness of it, so we will take it as a thin line to show the slender nature of it. Kadali too, yes, it is the smoothness that you are talking about. Kathoratana basate, in whose mind would the roughness of these objects not be seen? They will definitely feel that these objects are rough. Iti dvitiyayaha aprastuta tulyado yogitayaha udaharanam. Atra nayika saukumarya varnane prastute. This is the contextual here. When the context of describing the saukumaryam, the softness of the nayika is the context here. Aprastutanam malati shashabhrit lekha shashabhril lekha kadalinam kathorata rupa ekagunanvaya varnanat. In the example in the prastuta tulyayogita, he did eka kriya anvayitvam. Here he connects three objects to one gunam. Even there is a difference here also. See, in the sarojani, sankuchanti sarojani, swairini vadanani cha, you have two objects connected with one kriya. In this example, he has three objects connected with one guna. Okay, to just show that it can occur in any way.
Yes, but the way you described it, which I think is awesome, which is that the Malati Pushpam, which has got softness, the Shashabhrilleka, which has got slenderness, and the Kadali, which has got smoothness. Now, those three things are actually three different qualities. But when he says that they have
Mardavam,
Katorata. He means that
how all three qualities can be accounted for with just the word Mardavam.
Madhava, exactly. I mean, he's kind of doing a meta. He's doing a meta analysis of it. He's saying, okay, the Pushpa is actually harder. The Shashabra is actually more fat and or puffed out, and the Kadali is actually not as smooth as the Naika. I mean, it's awesome the way he's doing it. I mean, the language has got so many possibilities of saying
actually, Apte gives the translation of soft, tender, supple, delicate, pliant,
delicate. I think delicate is what he means. The delicate line of the moon. The Malati is also delicate, and the Kadali is also delicate, as it can easily break. I guess in delicateness is the word, I guess. Okay. In that way, he means Madhavan. Yeah.
Instead of Katorata, if we had used there also Mardava or something like that, then would it be same Aprastuta?
Yes, it would be, but the thing would be Kasya Chittena Bhasate, Malati, Shashabril Leka. That would be, correct. Mruduta, if you take it as Mardavam or Mruduta there, Kasya Chittena Bhasate, whose mind will not think about the softness of those three objects. That is, her body is also as soft as that. Iti aupamyameva tatra vyangyatvena vartate. Kintu atra vyatirekaha bhasate. Vyangyatvena. You understand?
So, if you have used Mruduta or Mardavata, whatever, Mardavam, instead of Katorata, will it be still Aprastuta Tulyayogita?
Yes, it will still be Aprastutanam eva eka guna anvayitvam. You're correct.
Why is it Aprastuta? I don't understand.
What is the Varnyam here? What does the Kavi want to describe? Does he want to describe the Mruduta of Malati or Shashabril Leka or Kadali? What is the context here?
Tasyaha Anga Mardavam.
Anga Mardavam eva tatra varnayitavyam Kavina. Tasya manasi or let's take the Nayaka. Why would the Nayaka be bothered about the Malati Pushpam or Kadali Dandaha? He doesn't have to be bothered about that. That is just a comparison thing. When you looked at Upama, in the first case, Hamsiva Krishnate Kirtihi Swargangam Avagahate. So what is the Varnyam there? Kirtihi. What is Avarnyam? Hamsi. Didn't you say that? Upamanam and the Upameya. Upameya is something that you want to describe, which is the Varnyam. So here also, Anga Mardavameva Atra Kavina Apeksham. He wants to only understand this Anga Mardavam, one wants to describe. By way of describing that, he is also comparing it with the three objects which are not relevant to his description, which is not what he wants to describe. His focus of description is only the Anga Mardava.
In so the previous one, they are relevant because of Chandrodaya, right? It is Chandrodaya is the context. That's okay.
That's why Chandrodaya context, both are relevant here. We need both. Okay.
Okay. Avagatam. Dhanyavad.
Now there are two examples, Aparam Udaharanam, for both the first variety and the second variety. Sanjata patra prakaranvitani samudvahanti sputapatalatvam vikasvarani arka karabhimarshat dinani padmani cha vriddhimiyuhu. Vikasvara, arka kara abhimarshat sanjata patra prakara anvitani sputa patalatvam samudvahanti Vikasvarani dinani padmani cha vriddhim iyuhu. Both the days and the lotuses, vriddhim iyuhu, they grew. Vriddhim iyuhu, they attained vriddhi, an increase. They got an increase. How are the days and the lotuses? Because of what? The reason here is Arka Abhimarshat, Arka Kara Abhimarshat. So it is a Grishma Varnanam, which is the Prastutam. The same as you applied for Chandrodaya Varnanam is the Prastutam, here also Ritu Varnanam is something that a Kavi has to do in a Mahakavyam. So Nagara, Arnava, Shaila, Ritu, Ityadikam. If you take Kavya Darsha, which was written by Dandi, he gave the rules of a Mahakavyam by saying that these descriptions have to be there. Not all of these descriptions, but some of those descriptions can be there. You can miss out on many, but at least one or two should be there for it to be qualified, for it to qualify as a Mahakavyam. There when he states, he says, Nagara Arnava, Samudra Varnanam, Nagara Varnanam, Rutu Varnanam, Chandrodaya Varnanam, Vivaha Varnanam, Ityadikam tu tatra bhavitavyam iti. Only if one or any of these or many of these are there, it can be named as Mahakavya. Now the Prastutam here is also Rutu Varnanam, take it as Grishma Kalasya Varnanam, Prachalat Asti. So when describing the Grishma Kala, summer, Dinani, Padmani cha, Prastutani, both of these are, how are the days during Grishma Kala, during summertime? How are the lotuses during summertime? So he is describing everything. He can describe the people. He can, let's think of a Kavyam like Ritu Samhara, where the entire Kavyam is about describing different seasons, all of the 6 seasons, how people are, how children behave, how old people behave, how lovers behave during that time. What are the, what are the flowers that bloom? How does the day appear? How does the night appear? These are all contextual now. Okay. Dinani Padmani cha Prastutani Surya Kirana Samsparshat. So Arka Kara Abhimarshat. Arkaha Suryaha. Tasya Kara Kirana. Surya Kiranasya Abhimarshat Samsparshat. Because the days are also touched by the rays of the sun. The lotuses are also touched by the rays of the sun. These start growing. So the days are longer during summer. So Dinani Vriddhim Iyuhu. The lotuses are also blooming for a longer time during summer. They slowly increase in size during summer. So Vikaswarani, they are also blooming. Vikaswara is they are increasing and blooming. That is the light of the sun is in its height then. So the days are also Vikaswarani. It is like they are bright and blooming well. So the days are bright and the lotuses are also blooming bright. So Vikaswarani Dinani Padmani cha Vriddhim Iyuhu. The other adjective is Sanjata Patra Prakara Anvitani Samudvahanti. Samudvahanti, they are having Patra Anvitani. They have a lot of Patra Prakara. Prakara na, I think it is Ada Pakarthukala one day. Patra Prakarammangarche and the different Samuham Ityarthaha Nanakare. Patra Prakarana.
Prakara can mean like a wall, encircling wall, yeah. So in the lotus, when you have a row of petals in one row, adukulla innoru row, prakaram, yeah.
Pretty, okay. Okay. Sanjata Patra Prakara Anvitani. Okay, a row of leaves that have come out, or the row of petals that have come out. So Patra can mean both petals and leaves, but we will take it as petals here. So Sanjata Patra Prakara Anvitani Sputa Patalatvam Samudvahanti. They are having a redness that is very clear. So the days are also having this redness, I think. And yeah. The
Prakaram is unit of time, right? Prakaram is also unit of time, right? Am I right? Is it a unit of time?
Illa.
No?
Prakaram unit of time kadayadu.
Yeah, but how does it apply to the day?
Aduthaan yojikiren. Enakkum puriyala.
I think there is a prakaram, like, you have a yama and then, one of the units of time.
Prakara illa. See, he clearly says that Sanjata Patra Ityadini tu Slishta Visheshanani iti vartante. So, Aupamya Prayojakam. There is also an aupamyam between the dinam and the padmam. Dinani, padmani iva vartante iti aupamya pratitihi. So it is a vyanjana vritti here. Both the days and the lotuses are similar. So all of these adjectives should fit both dinam and padmam. Take it as Sanjata Patra Prakara Anvitani, Anvitani Yuktani, Sanjata Patranam Prakaraihi Anvitani Padmani. The lotuses which have new petals that have come about. For the days, if you have to take it, then everywhere you find newer leaves coming up. During spring also you have new leaves, and through summer, everywhere the leaves also come out. Usually during spring it is just the flower, and then during summer the leaves start showing up more. Probably that is what he means here, right?
Yeah, so it would be a samuhamachaka padam prakara iti. I see it in Appayya as quantity.
Quantity.
One of the dictionaries.
Yeah. So everywhere there are leaves coming up in bunches in all the trees. It is not only the flowers which were seen like during the spring season. So in spring season you will have new sprouts which come out, but when they grow into full leaves, that is during the summer days. Appadi paakala, and sputa patalatvam samudvahanti, the days also are bright red because of the sun's rays. It is more reddish in color than it was during other seasons. So there is a clear redness in the sun also when it shines. Padmani to sputa patalatvam samudvahanti, the lotuses also carry a rose color in them, a pinkish reddish color in them as they bloom. Vikaswarani, the days are also bright and blooming. The lotuses are also blooming. So vriddhim iyuhu, they grow because of the touching of the sun's rays.
It is not like more hours of sunlight.
Irke, ama vriddhim iyuhu na days have become longer. Adada.
So more hours.
I mean, it's an amazing comparison between a day and a lotus. I mean, it will never occur to the mind of a normal person. It's amazing.
Yeah. Tatra Grishma Varnane Dinani Padmani cha Prastutani Suryakirana Samsparshat Vriddhim Apuhu. They grow. Iti Prastutanameva Vriddhi Prapti Rupa Eka Kriya Anvaya Varnanat. Vriddhi Praptihi Eva Tatra Eka Kriya. That is the one Kriya that connects both Dinani and Padmani. So it is Prastuta Tulyayogita. The next example is from Kumara Sambhava for Aprastuta Tulyayogita. Nagendra hastaha tvachikarkashatvad ekanta shaityat kadali visheshaha labdhvapi loke parinahi rupam jatas tadurvoho upamana bhashyaha. Now, Kalidasa is describing Parvati's form here. So, Parinahi Rupam, it is a very symmetrical form that she has got. She has a very beautiful form. So, Nagendra Hastaha Tvachi Karkashatvat. Tvachi, so he is trying to compare Parvati's thighs to the trunk of an elephant and the Kadali Danda, both. Okay. Now, when he tries to compare it to Nagendra Hastaha, the trunks of an elephant, they cannot be, even though they look like they have a similar form to her form. Parinahi Rupam Labdva Api. Parinahi is a measurable form. Parinahi, the form that can be comparable to her form. So it is in context of the description of Parvati. So we'll have to take it with the earlier shloka also, because it is not mentioned that it is Parvati's Rupam here. Because I know the context and this is a very popular shloka also. That is why. So Tatu Urvoho Tasyaha Urvoho Upamana Bhahyaha Jataha. This is the main context here. Tat Tasyaha Urvoho. These Nagendra Hastaha, that is the trunks of the elephants, and Kadali Visheshaha, the trunks of banana trees, have become Upamana Bhakhyaha. They have been pushed out of the category of Upamanam. with respect to her two thighs. So tad urvoho upamana bhahyaha jataha. They are objects that cannot be compared to her thighs at all, even though they have the same form that is there for her form also. They look like that. Parinahi rupam. Parinahi ngarche, it is the appropriate form. Appropriate form for us to, அதாவது இந்த அளவு நீளம் எல்லாம் இருக்கும் இல்லையோ, அந்த நீள அகலம் எல்லாம் ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்குங்கிற. Both width and breadth and everything can be very comparable to her thighs, but then there is a problem with our upamanam here. The first upamanam has to be pushed out because it is tvachi karkashatvat. It is very rough to touch. Have you touched an elephant's trunk? You will know. It is very rough on the outside, so it has been pushed out of the upamana category. Ekanta shaityat kadali visheshaha. This is a very tricky one. Kadali visheshaha, the banana tree stalks are always ekanta shaityam. They are always cool to touch or cold to touch. Whereas Parvati's thighs or a woman's thigh in general, because it's a human body, it adjusts to the temperature that is there outside. When it is very cold, it will be very warm to touch. When it is hot outside, it will be cool to touch. So that sort of a discrimination in that sort of a difference in temperature is not there for kadali visheshaha. So he says ekanta shaityat kadali visheshaha api parinahi rupam loke labdhva api. Even though in this world you can find a similar form in these objects, still all of those have become upamana bhahyaha for her thighs because of these problems. Okay, Sloka is beautiful. Now we have to do a lakshana samanvaya here. Atra uru varnane. Uru varnanam is your prastutam. Uru varnane prastute sati. When the Kavi wants to describe the uru, the upamanas become avarnya. Varnyam is Parvatyaha uru. Avarnyam becomes the upamanam. What are the upamanas that he is looking at? Nagendra hastaha, kadali visheshaha cha aprastutani. They are not contextual. The Kavi is not here to describe the trunk of an elephant, nor is he here to describe an banana tree. He wants to describe only the thighs of Parvati. Techa, those Kadali Vishesha and Nagendra Hasta, two objects, are now connected by the gunam of saying Urvoho Upamana Bhahyaha Jataha. They have been pushed out of the Upamana category. Aprastutanam Nagendra Hasta Kadali Visheshanam Upamana Bhahyatva Rupa Ekadharma Anvaya Varnanat Aprastuta Tulyayogita. So they both are connected by the one dharma of saying that it cannot be considered as a upamanam at all. So there is an ekadharma anvayitvam for two aprastuta points. Okay, is that clear? Any questions? Okay, then we will stop with this.